WBNE.
Howdy, Ukes. Before we get started today, I just want to let you know that this episode of Bacon and Eggs and everything on WBNE is brought to you by our patrons. If you love the show and you want us to make more content or better content or, I don't know, help us justify this to the people we love, head over to patreon.com/baconandeggs. Check out all the amazing reward tiers. I highly recommend the $10 tier if you are not already a $10 patron. The unedited episodes of Bacon and Eggs really, it's like extended edition Lord of the Rings. Have you really seen it if you haven't seen the extended edition? And maybe the short answer on that is yes, you have, because the theatrical edition is all that matters. But also, I mean, don't you want all that extra sweet content? Anyway, check out all the great reward tiers we have over there. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for donating. And now on with the show. Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs. I'm Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Ethan Edgehill.
And I'm Danny.
And today we're journeying to a magical far-off land.
Or maybe we're just climbing into a wardrobe.
So defeat the evil Ice Queen.
And take your rightful place as king or queen.
Because today we're bringing you
The Chronicles of Narnia, Cole and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
This week, we are joined by the most talented human I've ever had the pleasure of meeting on the internet. She is the editor behind Editing is Everything. She's also the genius brain behind Editing is Everything. She's a fantastic self-made world-class photographer. She is a native of none other than Ohio, the underrated most powerful state in the union. I said it. A lot of people don't know it, but I have the boldness to say it. And she's just all around a class act and has a cool lion on her shoulder. Welcome to the program. I feel like a radio host now. Hi, Danny. Welcome to Bacon and Eggs.
Hello. Thank you for having me again.
We're so happy to have you.
Yeah.
So, Ethan, go ahead. Ethan, yeah.
What?
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, yeah, it's always great to be, because you wanted to come back on. And usually we're like, hey, guest, do you want to come on? It's not really usually the guest being like, I want to talk about the Chronicles of Narnia. And I'm like, yes, let's go. I haven't seen this movie in 15 years. Let's go.
Let's do it. So this is a fun fact for all you listeners. As long as Scott left it in the video, there's a moment in the J vs. Ben tomorrow where Danny asks a question for the Patreon Quizmaster question of the game. And I talk about this, and I said we're reviewing it for the 10-year anniversary of Chronicles of Narnia, but it is not the 10-year anniversary. It is the 15th.
It's the 10-year anniversary of Voyage of the Dawn Treader, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, well then there we go. Yeah. That's something.
It came out 15 years ago today in Britain.
I know, this movie came out when I was 11, and I have loved this movie ever since I saw it. I remember hearing that my sister was going to go see it, and I remember seeing previews for it on TV. And I'm like, this looks so cool, because I didn't even know that they were books. I didn't even know that it was like any kind of medium before the movie. I saw the trailer blindly, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is literally the most epic thing I've ever seen. And so I heard my sister was going to go see it, and I'm like, oh, can I come too? She's like, okay. And so it was my sister, her friend, me, and my dad. We all saw it, and I was blown away. I saw it 3 times in theaters.
That's a ton for an 11-year-old.
I know. I got the DVD, I think, for Easter. I think the following year. I watched it countless number of times. I can literally quote the movie from beginning to end. Narnia is my religion.
That is so cool. I'm so excited to be talking to you about it then.
I'm so excited to talk about it in general. This movie is not talked about enough.
No, I agree. I think that there are a certain number of readable, worthwhile, digestible fantasy series out there in the literature world, and I think Narnia is slept on because it's a little disjointed, but it is very much readable, more so than Lord of the Rings is. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you 100%. And I think the film, this is probably the first time I've seen it, not 15 years, but probably 12 or 13 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute for me, for sure.
And I was very happily surprised. Let me run down some stats real quick, and then we will do some ethereal reviews, and then we'll just get into opening it up and talking about the whole thing. So it's directed by Andrew Adamson, a name I don't think I've ever read on this show. It came out December 8th, 2005, which is 5,479 days ago. $180 million budget, which to me sounds like a lot in 2005. Made $745 million worldwide, and another $330-ish in DVD sales, which is an insane number.
There's another fun fact about that. That was DVD sales in 2007.
Really?
So the movie came out on DVD in April of 2006, but it was the single most popular DVD release of the year 2007, making $300 million in DVD sales in just 2007, a year and change after it came out.
Wow.
That is almost a year after it came out.
Over a year after it came out.
Yeah.
Like the movie came out.
Yeah. I got a 76% critic rating and a 61% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but we can actually throw that 61 away since Danny's here. And a 75 on Metacritic. And then, Ethan, do you have a negative review from a professional critic?
I do. I have a negative review here from Peter Travers of Rolling Stone.
I knew it was going to be from Peter Travers. I knew you were going to do that. Sorry, go ahead.
I do. It's the first time I've ever gotten to read a Peter Travers review on this show. He's one of the few critics I knew by name before this show, we started doing this show. And he says, this PG-rated movie feels safe and constricted in a way that the story never does on the page. It leaves out the deep magic of a good movie or a good sermon, the feeling that something vital is at stake. And Peter Travers is wrong about everything always. Literally always. I've never once agreed with Peter Travers in my life.
Who's the guy that liked the Shags?
That was Frank Zappa.
That was Frank Zappa.
He's not a critic. He was a musician.
Yes.
The Mountain Goats have a song called Rage of Travers about how much Peter Travers sucks. Fun fact.
There you go.
But he was the guy that described the Eagles as being the single worst band to ever exist.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah, it is a great little quip. You should read the first 5 paragraphs of that review. But anyway, continue on. You have a positive review for me.
I do. I have a positive review from the Sydney Morning Herald, Sandra Hall. She says, "G'day, mate. It's easy to see why Disney chose to start with the witch and the wardrobe."
You cannot do Australian. It is not, you're not capable. Lion, the witch in the wardrobe. I'm from Australia, ain't I?
Ain't it? Let me see if I can get another one. Hold on. Matthew Lucas from the Dispatch in Lexington, North Kakalaki. Swinton digs into the icy hot. Nope. Now we're in Australia.
That was Australian. What are you
Swinton
doing?
digs into
Just
the
read
icy
it.
hot of her character. North Carolina's pretty. Let me see if I can twang it up a little bit. Swinton digs into the icy heart of her character with a chameleon-like prowess that is simply amazing. June 5th, 2019.
My name is Ricky Bobby. I like the Chronicles of Narnia.
4 out of 4 stars.
It'd have been better if Aslan was a cougar.
I want to talk about big cats real quick. So Aslan obviously is the big cat of the film, but there is another underrated big cat, not named, I don't think. My favorite big cat is in the movie as well. Do you know what my favorite big cat is? Danny, do you? Featured heavily? Featured greater than lightly.
Well, there are 3 other big cats that are in the movie, including the cheetah, the leopard, and the white tiger.
So which one do you think is my favorite?
I'm gonna guess the white tiger.
Oh, that's close, but it's wrong. I'm a cheetah guy. Hey. Big cheetah fan.
Yeah, Tyler is a big cheetah guy. It's actually our first combined memory to each other. I do just want to say something on the subject of Andrew Adamson, the director of this movie. I did Google him just to see what else he's done. It looks like he also directed Shrek.
Yes.
Like the original Shrek?
Like the original Shrek?
You're exactly right.
But
I feel so dumb.
I do want to say that Andrew Adamson looks exactly like what I would imagine David Spade would look like if he was from New Zealand. Fun fact.
I feel so dumb. You're exactly right on that, though.
I didn't remember that name either. But yeah, Shrek. Anyway.
Shrek.
So Danny told us about. We got to do listener reviews.
I know there's so much content we have to get through, so much structure to this show. You don't just want to break the shackles of whatever structure we're referring to and just break free. Fly like a griffin or whatever the animal is in here.
Anyway, so Chloe says 58 out of 100. An incredibly enjoyable film. It always makes me happier. I love the world it creates and the quips from the characters, but overall it's nothing spectacular. Just an average fun time movie with decent acting and decent effects.
Average? What?
Average? I disagree with Chloe here. I truthfully watched it. I was like, this is so much better than I was expecting.
I picked Chloe's review for the specific reason that I've started enjoying any time somebody's like, yeah, I really like this. I give it a 50. Sounds great. Love it. Just like, it's a 5 out of 5. Let's go. Not
or 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10, yeah. Not to particularly hate on the movie or whatever, but just like I'm rewarding people for not using the high school scale in our 100-point scale now.
Right, we want to use all.
We want to use the whole
points.
100 points, right? If you like a movie, 50%, give it a 50. Anyway, we got another listener review that Tyler's going to read right now, and then we'll dive into it.
75 out of 100. Woozle says, "Oh, she's from England. Oh, she's from."
Just read it with your voice. Just read it with your. I want to get on to talking about the movie.
The film is magical, and the effects are beautiful for a children's film at the time. It was at pastel blue hue that gives this film a timeless feel that is always good to watch at Christmas.
I will say that I admire that about this movie, that they did a full, like, big epic fantasy battle on just a bright, beautiful sunny day.
Sunny day, yes.
That is so ballsy.
It's a beautiful day for a war.
Right, it's just like, it's a wonderful day to go to war with the Ice Queen. And I get it, because like it's a war of seasons, right? Like spring has to win, and it's a beautiful spring day. But you know, they definitely resisted the urge to put on like the war filter that movies usually use.
Right.
Can you imagine if the Chronicles of Narnia looked like 1917?
Yeah. That had like the sepia tone, like
Right.
Like 300.
yeah, because this was
Narnia!
this was made around the same time as some truly awful war movies.
I will say that 2005 was an incredible year for movies in general.
Was it?
I feel like 2004, 2005, and 2006.
I promise you, if you go back to 2004, you will be shocked at how many movies you love came out in 2004. No, it's Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the universally least favorite Harry Potter movie. Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. That's a great movie. The Tom Cruise War of the Worlds, the Jack Black King Kong, Madagascar,
Hard Candy,
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka, Batman Begins by Christopher Nolan,
Shark Boy
Sky
and Lava
High,
Shark Boy and Lava Girl came out.
Sky High.
Sky High, yes! I love that movie.
But yeah, if you go to years with 4, because like 2014 was great, 2004 was great, 1994 turned out to be great, and so did 1984. I did this like not very long ago with our Discord where like we got stuck on years that end in 4 and how they're really good for movies.
So we're coming up on a good one then.
We're coming up on a good one in 4 years. We're almost as far away as we could possibly be.
Right.
Yes.
Like, we are
We've had
1 year
some-
removed from as far away as possible from a 4.
So, Danny, you love the movie.
Yes.
Oh, do you want to know Ethan and I's scores?
Yes.
I want to know yours as well. I have a shot in the dark on what I think yours is.
Are we going?
Ethan, I want to
Are we going up to 10 or up to 100?
Out of 100.
up to 100.
Up to 100.
Ethan, I want to hear yours first.
I'm going to give it a 76. I thoroughly enjoyed this cinematic experience.
You have to go into more detail. You're looking at the world's biggest Narnia stand right now.
Well, I'm going to go into more detail in the next hour and a half.
That's true.
Same.
Okay. I'm gonna do better than that, but not 84.
Out of 100,
84.
Danny, what you
Out
got?
of 100.
101 out of 100.
100 it is. There we go. Okay.
So this is one
Into
of
the
those
good
movies.
stuff.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I just interrupted you.
I was just gonna say into the good stuff and then say Ethan.
So this is one of those movies where, like, if you say this is your favorite movie ever, I'm like, totally, go for it. If you say this is your least favorite movie ever,
I don't trust
there's
you.
something wrong with you, right? Like this is a perfectly passable movie in almost every. There's nothing like wrong with this. I do remember people being upset in the year of our Lord 2005 that this didn't check some boxes. Like this, for a lot of our generation, this was the first time people were like truly gutted by a movie adaptation.
Which is so weird because it's an extremely faithful adaptation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like any movie adaptation, right? It's never gonna. It's not the same as a book. It's never gonna be the same as a book, and it's never gonna deliver the same experience as a book, for better or for worse. They've come pretty close sometimes. I mean, Fight Club, the movie and book are pretty much the exact same experience. It takes you about as long to read the book as the movie is. But I remember going to the theater and being like, this is cool. This is like, it's Lord of the Rings, like more for kids than Lord of the Rings was, but not like, it's not juvenile. You know, it's not Blue's Clues fantasy. It's just like, it's about children as opposed to 50-year-old hobbits.
Yeah, instead of Lord of the Rings, it's more Prince of the Rings.
Right. And it's one of the things I really liked about it was that it was this, like, I think I liked this movie more in 2020 than I did in 2005 when I would have originally seen it.
I certainly did. Yeah.
Not that I think I didn't like it, but I think I saw it in 2005. And that was also like, it had to compete with Harry Potter. And I really, really liked those first 3 movies, first 4, I guess at this point. And that was like a series that I was like actively engaged with. I was like buying the books as they came out. The 7th one wasn't even out yet. So that was, you know, like I think a sticking point. And then I also think that you had to compare it to Lord of the Rings because Lord of the Rings would have just ended. And I think I don't know why 13-year-old me would have cared, but as like a cinematic experience, this isn't the same as Lord of the Rings. I don't think that Shrek director Adam Williamson, or whatever his name is, has quite the same vision Peter Jackson did. And there's something like Star Wars. Like, there was a lot for it to compete with at the time, and a lot for my attention to be grabbed by. And I was spending all of my time outside having lightsaber battles instead of sword fights. And if it was sword fights, I had Enduril.
I will say, though, freaking Peter Jackson could learn a thing or two from Andrew Adamson about how to compellingly shoot dialogue.
You think so?
I think so. I thought there were a lot of really beautiful scenes in this movie. I mean, it's still the New Zealand landscape, so it's going to be like you can send up a helicopter and just make a movie, right? You don't even need people to talk or anything. It's fine. Right. Like, it's just a bunch of snow. Snow is always beautiful, right? No matter what. And they went for warm snow in this movie instead of cold snow. Like, when Lucy walks out of the wardrobe, it's like a very warm, cozy, inviting experience with the soft yellow light of the lamppost. Even though it's obviously freezing because there's snow all over the place, you feel cozy until freaking Edmund shows up and it's just like, that's not cozy anymore. I want some Turkish delight and I want to betray my friends and family.
So Edmund, also when he shows up, it's not cozy. Like, they shift the lighting in the lamppost, so it's no longer a warm light. It's like a blue light almost. So they definitely changed. That's your sort of like 50 Shades of Grey Narnia right there for editing is everything. Have you done this one? I'm sure you have.
What?
Have you done this in like the 50 Shades of C.S. Lewis? That's gotta be somebody's fantasy.
No, but back in 2017, I think. Yeah, 2017, I did Narnia as a horror movie, and I already have it ready to go to edit it in 7 different genres, which will probably be sometime in the next coming months.
Cool. So
I could definitely see horror movie for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that seems easy. A lot of good light in here, and there's a lot of, Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
A lot of angry faces.
Early in the film, we get a lot more context in the movie than we do in the book because in the book, it's like, these kids went and stayed with the magician's nephew because, well, they did. Because of the air raids. But in the movie, we actually get like a little bit more backstory on Edmund, on like he tries to save the father's picture, and you get a little bit more of the conflict between them up until Lucy discovers the wardrobe. I felt like that early part dragged a little bit. Danny, tell me how you feel.
I feel like the beginning, which by the way, John and I watched it last night. It was his first time watching it, and he really enjoyed it. And so it was my first time watching it all the way through in quite a long time. I actually cried at the beginning for the first time. But I feel like if you were just given this movie by itself, and like you don't know anything what it's about, you've never seen the trailer, and so you're just watching it. I feel like it's a really good like U-turn when like diversion, a really good diversion to like what the actual story is about, because you're like, oh, it's probably a war film.
Right.
So yeah, like it's slow but well paced at the same time. Like
right.
Like it's setting you up for something much bigger. So you have to take like those baby steps. But within 10-15 minutes, you are in the wardrobe, and you're like, oh wow, this is not a war movie.
No, this is like weird high fantasy thing.
It is a war movie near the end. But
I think it's an interesting contrast of like, there's this war where the children have literally no power at all. Like, all they can do is run and hide in a bunker, to they are literally leading armies, and commanding troops and making things happen. So I do think it's a cool contrast from the beginning to the end. And their war at the end is in the daytime, and the air raids from the Germans is in the nighttime.
Night and days, summer and winter.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the first 15 minutes of this movie. I thought it was really good, and I could have I know that there are plenty of movies that explore like children that were exiled from the Blitz. And the Second World War in general, especially in Britain. But I could have lived in that movie, right? Like, I could have watched a whole movie about these kids, like, and their eccentric professor they go to live with, and the crazy landlady or whatever, the caretaker, which we don't get enough of her in the movie. Like, it doesn't. It's a setup and not really anything else. Like, I know they're afraid of her or whatever, but we don't. You just sort of have to know that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was sort of expecting, because this follows a very similar sort of progression to like, oh, my wife is here. Oh, and my baby.
And your baby.
Hi, baby.
She's so cute.
Hi, baby.
What a bean. Bye.
Goodbye.
She said no.
I get the feeling that it's like when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be kind of like The Wizard of Oz. And it really is. Like, we have these characters who were in this terrible situation, and then they end up in this more colorful, fantastical world. And then at the end, they end up back in the beginning spot.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no trains in Narnia, though. And there's a train in the first scene. And that's all that matters, really.
So you're saying you'd prefer World War II Europe?
Yeah, because there's trains. Specifically the whatever it was from the Great Western Railway, which is one of the greatest railroads of all time because they have that cool green color scheme.
No, so this was the point that I was going to make, is that you've got all of these thematic elements that are very similar to Wizard of Oz, but the one thing that you're missing is that, like, if I had no context at all, I would expect that nanny to be the same actress as
the witch,
the White Witch.
Yeah. Well, then it would have just been a ripoff, right?
Aslan to be voiced by
the professor,
Jim Broadbent.
Slughorn. Yeah, Jim Broadbent.
Professor Slughorn.
Yes, what a great person to play the professor.
Also,
that at least, or to be Santa Claus, is that he would show up, somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I was expecting that, but I'm glad that that's not how it was.
Yeah, because The Wizard of Oz is an existent piece of fiction. Like, you could just go watch The Wizard of Oz and get that reveal, right? Like,
right.
That's a thing you can do. I'll tell you, this being a Christmas movie is something I always forget. Having, like, Santa Claus give them the gifts, right? And they got to go find Jesus Lion. I forget that when Santa Claus showed up, when Gior Mormont showed up as Santa Claus, I was like, what? Huh? That was a fact that it did not stick in brain.
It is such a fantastic D&D element. Like, imagine being the DM of a game, and then in the middle of the game you were like, and you hear hooves approaching, roll perception or whatever, and then straight up it's just Santa Claus. And he's just like, hey, ho, 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 I'm Santa. And he like, gives you presents. And that's it. So one thing I did want was when Santa showed up, he shows up, he gives them the weapons. I wanted him to also give them toys or like something to, like, I guess what I think this movie's trying to say is that, like, kids are more mature and kids have more power than we ever give them credit for. But I want Lewis to be like, but kids are also kids and want to be children. And I wanted, more than anything, I wanted Santa Claus to give Lucy the instrument that Mr. Tumnus was playing. That was the poetic moment that I needed and I didn't get.
Oh, that would have been so cute, and I would have cried. and also after that scene, John's like, why didn't Santa give anything to the beavers?
Because I don't know. Santa only brings presents to good kids.
I love the Beavers, by the way. Ray Winston playing Mr. Beaver. Fantastic casting choice. Fantastic voice acting from, like, a real Jason Statham
Beavers.
type.
Yeah. I love the writing for them as well, where they just, like, drop these weird sort of beaverisms. Like, you get this glimpse into beaver culture where it's like, shower day is my least favorite day of the year. It's like, why did we even need that joke?
Right, but it's so funny, though.
It's so good.
I will say this, vis-a-vis voice acting of animals. Why are the wolves American? Right? Like, everybody in the movie is British, and the wolves are just like, hey, why you keep running away? What's the big idea here?
I did notice that.
Why? Were there no British people left in New
Germans?
Zealand? What?
Or no Germans?
Yeah, I mean, or anything.
That would have been a little heavy-handed, right? If they were German.
Yes, we are the wolf. We have come from orders of the White King or White Queen to kill you.
We are the secret police.
We are the secret police. We are wolves. Yeah, no, the wolves are, like, from New Jersey. Like, what is that? It didn't like, obviously it didn't take me out of it. Like, the belief was never really there, right? It wasn't like the magic was broken or anything. I was just like, huh?
I really like the wolves. I tell you, Danny, maybe you can shed some light on this. Spring is arriving because they are there, right?
Yes.
Like, they're the reason that everything's melting.
Yes, and also when Mr. Thomas talks about how it's been winter for 100 years, and Santa says that that the hope that they're bringing, the kids are bringing, is melting away the witch's power. So if you think about it, the children are like the warmth coming into Narnia. Like they're bringing in spring. Like it's like a metaphor for like they're melting her cold evil heart.
I love that,
because that's what the prophecy foretold, right? Mm-hmm. For the 2 sons of Adam and 2 daughters of Eve, and Aslan shakes his mane.
We shall have spring again.
Yeah.
I tell you,
when Adam's flesh and Adam's bone sits in Cair Paravel enthroned, the evil time will be over and done. You know, that doesn't really rhyme.
I love that. That was so good. I tell you, Aslan didn't have to die, right? Edmund just didn't have to betray them. And if Edmund didn't betray them, then Aslan never had to die.
True.
Right. And then the war would have been really easy and the movie would have been over and there wouldn't have been a story, right?
Right.
But Aslan is Jesus, so he has to die because men are sinners.
Right. He has to die for the one who betrayed the others.
Right.
I thought that was a really nice prophecy. I thought that was good. The cracked stone table. This movie's a little bit more graphic than I was expecting. I mean, they don't like have blood on screen. They do have a really nice overhead shot where Lucy is laying and hugging Aslan's neck, but she's wearing like a red cape. And it looks like blood is just everywhere.
Oh.
It was good. That was a good shot.
I was like, man, that
was
cool.
a good shot. I'm telling you, Andrew Adamson, underrated over here. Peter Jackson could learn a thing from this guy.
He probably did. And then he was like, I'll make Hobbit movies. I can do them like Narnia. And he did.
Oh, so I have a fun fact about Andrew Adamson's directing. This is from some the behind the scenes from the DVD. Is when Lucy enters Narnia from the wardrobe. That was Georgie Henley's real reaction to Narnia.
Yeah.
Like they kept that whole set hidden from her until it was time to shoot. So her like looking around like her looking everywhere, like that's real. That's a real genuine reaction of Georgie.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they like blindfolded her and shoved her into the wardrobe.
Yeah.
And we're just like, okay, now walk out.
Enjoy.
And also, you've never met James McAvoy before.
Yeah.
Had she never met James McAvoy?
No.
Surely she had.
No, they like hid them on purpose.
Yeah, and so that was also her real reaction to James, and so over the course of filming, James and Georgie became like super close, and when and they also kept hidden from her like the fact that she was going to see Mr. Tumnus as a statue, and so when it was time for Susan and Lucy to come into the castle to rescue all the statues, she wasn't told that Mr. Tumnus was a statue, that James, that they had made a whole statue of James, and so that was her actually crying over James being frozen.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Ethan, you hate James McAvoy more
I do.
than any other human alive.
Legitimately, I don't hate him more than any other human alive. I mean, he's no Ethan Hawke. So this is the thing. This is the one thing I really truly like James McAvoy in.
I did
love
not
him.
expect that response.
I love him in this role. I've loved him in this role. This was my introduction to him, and I went and saw a bunch of other movies he was in, and I was like, this guy's something about him, man. Something doesn't do it for me in other roles, and he's in a lot of movies that I don't particularly care for. Just in general, like I'm not interested in whatever those M. Night Shyamalan movies are about the schizophrenic guy. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly care for the new X-Men movies, nor do I think he does a particularly good Charles Xavier.
It's a tough act to follow.
It sure is, but Michael Fassbender really pulls it off, and James McAvoy doesn't. That's just one guy's opinion.
James McAvoy peaked in Narnia. That's it.
No, and I know that I am like the singular holder of this opinion, and he is like beloved, and I've seen him on like Jules Holland and what's the other guy? Graham Norton, and on Top Gear, and he just seems like the kindest, most like lovely person to ever exist. I just don't like his acting that much. And one day I hope that I turn around on this, and I hope that I'm wrong, because people find a lot of joy in the roles that he plays, and I find a lot of joy in this role. I think he encompasses this, especially at the beginning, right, when he's clearly betraying Lucy, right? Like it's obvious to everybody but Lucy, but you also see him being this warm, caring, friendly type immediately. I think he really nails it.
For sure.
Would you have tea with a fawn?
If I came across a magical land in my wardrobe, I would certainly go nowhere alone at any time.
Well, you are not a 6-year-old girl.
That's correct. I am not a 6-year-old girl. Even at age 6, I think my parents had taught me enough stranger danger that I probably would have gone and gotten somebody. Also, I think she's like 8.
Danny, do you know the age breakdown? I know it says it in the book, but my copy's somewhere. I don't know.
I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I believe that Lucy is like 6 or 7.
Really?
Because Georgie was like 8 or 9 when they were filming. But I'm pretty sure the age range is between like 6 and 12 or 13.
Yeah, I know Peter hits an age that doesn't compute in my brain. Like, because when I was 12, I looked basically like an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I was like 16 that I looked like a 16-year-old.
Well, it's cool.
So-
the girl playing Susan's like 18.
The girl playing Susan, I love Susan's character. I think Susan's brilliant. I would get a pop figure of Susan.
Speaking of Pops, I am so upset that there are no Funko Pops of Narnia. Like,
Are there really?
There aren't?
none. I've looked
Bonkers.
everywhere, and
Bonkadores.
I mean, it's a shame that there are no pops of like from Narnia at all. I will spend all of my money on them if and when they come out. I feel like it would be like a really good time for them to come out now because it's the 15th anniversary. They're gonna have to wait till the 20th anniversary, I guess.
Right.
The thing is, I just like.
Oh, I actually have custom pops I bought on Etsy.
Oh, love that.
That is so cool.
So that just sparked that scene that you have right there sparked a memory for me of my first experience with anything about this series. When I was in elementary school, I think I was in the 3rd grade, we had to do a project where we created like not dioramas, but like the same idea as like a diorama, except they were on wheels and they were supposed to be like a parade float of a scene from a book. Right? And this one kid that I was in class with did that scene from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is a book that he had read, I guess. I did a scene from A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle, and I used a Jango Fett action figure for one of my characters. Fun fact. I remember that detail specifically. But I was just like, what is this with the lamppost and the goat dude? And he's just like, oh, it's the Chronicles of Narnia, dude. You haven't read it? And I was like, nah. And he gave me his copy of The Magician's Nephew because he's like, this is the first one. This is the one you got to read first. And I got like halfway through it and I was like, what in God's name is this book?
Magician's Nephew I love The Magician's Nephew.
I did not love it when I was 8.
Well, no, but like me as a 28, oh God, I'm old. Me as an old person, if I have like 2 days and somebody's like, grab a fantasy or grab like a fiction book and read it, there's a pretty long list of things I would pick, but The Magician's Nephew is truly a book that I can like pick up and read cover to cover without like setting down at all. I love The Magician's Nephew.
So it was the last one he wrote, right? Like he just kind of slapped it on there as a prequel after the rest of it was done. So it's not 100% necessary. I'm sure.
No, you can start with The Lion, the Witch,
I've never
and the
actually
Wardrobe
read it.
for sure.
I don't like all the way through. I can't imagine that like you miss anything, but it definitely probably adds a lot of context.
It more explains how the wardrobe works than anything.
Yeah, and that was the thing is like it's a weird kind of prequel because I remember it. Oh, you had to like care about the wardrobe kind of ahead of time,
right?
Or like know what the wardrobe does before it's like interesting. I don't know. I've read I think 3 of these total.
So the semester I took my 400 level C.S. Lewis class on like Lewis's fiction was also the semester I took off of college. So despite being there for most of the semester, I had to take the rest of the semester off because I wasn't doing anything because I was like super duper depressed. So I have only read probably 2 or 3 of them as well, but I own all of them. They're right there.
I do as well. I have a paperback box set.
Me too. It's right there.
I've read all of them. I have all of them. It's been a long time since I've read all of them. But there are 3 movies. 3 of the books have been made into movies, which include The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. And there is rumor that, I'm pretty sure production stopped because of COVID, but there's rumor that Netflix is making their own spin-off series of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or just Narnia
I've
in
heard
general.
that.
That's
Would
cool.
it be the same cast?
No, I
No,
don't
surely
think
not.
so.
It would have to.
No.
It has to be new kids.
Yeah, because Georgie Henley is like 23 right now, 25.
Yeah.
I will say that like the problem with watching The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, it doesn't make me want to read the Narnia books. It makes me want to reread The Magicians and
what's The
rewatch that
Magicians?
show. It's a book series. I think I've only actually read the first one, but it's a book series, and the idea is that it is about a world where magic exists and also Narnia exists. It's not called Narnia, but it's the exact same. It's like a direct ripoff. Narnia exists and magic exists, and like people think they're children's books, but they're kind of weird. But they're kind of weird because they're true, and it's hard to explain. And then they made it into a TV show that was pretty good.
Was it the Grossman series?
Yeah, Lev Grossman.
I would read these. Also, I don't think that's a problem, Ethan. I think any movie or piece of media that you watch that inspires you to read anything,
I don't think it's a problem at all. It's like I
good.
definitely want to pick the book up. I've read it, I think, twice, like a couple years apart each time, and I never seem to get all the way to the second one because I think the second one is like a completely different cast of characters. Like it's sort of in the same universe, but not the same story. But yeah, it's about these kids that go to magic school in a world where Harry Potter exists and is named. And they just think that it's hilarious because of how wrong it is about magic. But also, there's a fake Narnia, and the author of the fake Narnia, like, was really a magician.
I'll have to pick up this series.
I enjoyed the first book, but it is definitely...
Do you read a lot of books?
I am not a reader. I have a hard time reading because of my ADHD. Or ADD,
same.
whatever I have, but I'm definitely a movie watcher. I mean, I'll watch a movie way quicker than I'll read a book. Which is why I've read Narnia like maybe 3 or 4 times. I've seen it over 50 times.
Yeah.
There's a lot about
For
me.
sure. I think I'm probably the same way with Potter, where like I really appreciate the books and I think they're absolutely fantastic, and I've read them probably more than 3 or 4 times. But I've seen those films more times than I can count. Like,
I have read Deathly Hallows more times than I've seen both Deathly Hallows movie combined, for sure. 100% chance.
You know what's crazy is I think 5 and 6, I would be surprised if I'd read each of those more than twice.
I've read the whole series through
mad.
at least 10 times.
5 always makes me so mad. The prophecy is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's not. 5 is a masterwork. It's so complicated, though.
3 is a masterwork. 5 is
3 is unnecessary.
3 is the best one.
It's not the best book. It's just not.
Yes, it is. Oh, it's so good. It's so
just
tight.
Not. It's just not the best book. Potter's the one series where I don't prefer the initial books, but we're not here to talk about Potter. We're here to talk about
we're not.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is such a bonkers title because like Lion, Witch, okay, these are things, like these are exotic things, right? And then wardrobe, and that it really sets like an off-kilter tone for the whole thing. You're like, okay, this is gonna be interesting, right?
So the cat, the wizard, and the closet.
Right, like not even the closet. It's like the closet that you brought into the room because you didn't have a closet.
Right.
Like the external, slightly portable closet.
I cannot tell you just how badly I wanted the Narnia wardrobe, like that actual wardrobe I have wanted for so long. And like, I wonder if like, I'm gonna look to see if anyone has like made it, like, and like is selling it.
The thing that always strikes me about it is that it's just like in a room completely by itself.
Yeah.
And I haven't read the book in a long time, but that was never the vibe I got from the book.
It is the vibe from the book.
Is it?
Yeah. Is this room? The whole thing about the mansion is that like it's kind of like the way the book describes it, at least from my memories, it's kind of like Hogwarts, and that like you'll open doors sometimes and there are different things inside of those rooms. But I think he describes it in that way because it is so big and there are so many rooms, not that the rooms actually change.
Well, it's told through Lucy's eyes, right? Like it's not, but it is. Like she's our representative.
Right.
She's the audience surrogate here, and so like everything has to seem big and magical because she's like a 7-year-old kid or whatever. Or like it's a huge house,
right,
out in the middle of nowhere, and they play cricket with each other like good little British people.
I didn't know there was houses in the middle of nowhere in England. In my brain, England is so small. There can be no nowhere. You can't just have a mansion on a ton of land.
There's some nowhere because like I think it's like every piece of land in England is like owned by somebody.
Gotta be.
And so like lots of people just have, big ancestral estates.
Right.
And they'll like lease land to people, like let them build big houses and stuff, like they get to choose. I don't really know how it works, but it seems like there's people that own just huge swaths of land.
What I found about England is that almost always my understanding of it is completely incorrect. Like, I've been to England. I know that you have to get on a bus for a considerable amount of time to get from London to Stonehenge. But in my mind, like, the Thames runs through Stonehenge. It's right there.
It doesn't. It goes the other direction.
I understand that. But like that's like the center of London, and then right next to it is the London Eye, and it's like Central Park is Stonehenge. Is my brain. I know in my other brain that's not how it is, but I have two brains, and that's how I visualize it.
And one of them doesn't know shit about England.
Why would you apparate when everything's just right there,
I don't know. I feel bad for the fox in this movie. He's just trying to help.
Dude, the fox is the unsung hero of Narnia.
Yeah, just trying to help. Just trying to make everything better. Trying to help out for Aslan. And
trying to be voiced by George Clooney, but isn't.
It's not George Clooney.
I know.
That movie would not come for several years after this.
Speaking of voices, Liam Neeson is Aslan?
Yeah, that was my introduction to Liam Neeson and Tilda Swinton and James McAvoy. So
Wait, you hadn't seen The Phantom Menace?
no, I saw it after. I'm like, oh, it's Aslan.
I'm thinking about Liam Neeson here, right? And like, I think he does fine as Aslan. I don't know that like he's.
No, I think he's perfect.
Really?
100%. Yeah. 100%.
I don't know.
What are you going to do? Were you going to be like, James Earl Jones, you want to be another lion? You just can't do that.
Well, no, so the first person to audition for it was Gerard Butler, and I think he would have been better.
Really, I didn't know Gerard Butler auditioned.
Clearly, the cast didn't think that he would be better.
Yeah, but I think he would have been better. I don't know. Here's my thing about Liam Neeson, right? And this has really nothing to do with this movie other than I think that, like, I don't know, there's just something off kind of about his performance here. But, like, I'm starting to think that Liam Neeson may not be that great of an actor. Because I feel like every time Liam Neeson's in a movie, people will be like, I really feel like he didn't nail it, but like it's not his fault. He's just not a lot to work with. But like, I feel like people say that about every single Liam Neeson movie. At some point, he might just be the problem.
I don't know, man. I just feel like there wasn't much to work with.
Dude's been in a lot of bad movies. He's been in for somebody whose name you know like offhand, and almost everybody knows his name offhand. That dude has been in a lot of movies that people don't particularly care for or care for his performance in.
Wait a minute, like what?
Like The Phantom Menace, like Taken, like The Gray, which is like one of the worst reviewed movies ever.
People don't like The Phantom Menace?
Yeah, it's bad. He's bad in it. I am people.
Oh, you are people.
Lots of people think this about The Phantom Menace.
The Gray is not one of the worst reviewed movies of all time. It's got 79% certified fresh.
People hate it.
61% audience
I don't
score.
think they do. I remember people hating this movie. I remember people talking about how bad Liam Neeson was.
It is very similar to Rogue One, where they all die.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm constantly having this conversation with people where they'll be like, man, Liam Neeson wasn't great in this, but like, I don't feel like it's his fault. And like, at some point, it's got to be, though, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, at some point, it's got to be Liam Neeson's fault.
What is the opposite of a fan club?
How I feel about Ethan Hawke.
Right, like Ethan's gonna build this like league of extraordinary gentlemen who hate Liam Neeson, James McAvoy, and Ethan Hawke.
I don't hate Liam Neeson. I have no real problem with Liam Neeson. I just don't like almost every role he's in. I don't feel like he's the guy.
If you were at a bar and Liam Neeson was there, obviously not sulking, just like happened to be at the bar, would you ask him for a selfie?
No. But I don't really ask anybody for selfies.
I've never been in a bar with Liam Neeson. I think that would be a new experience.
Hey, if I was in a bar with Ethan Hawke, I'd be like, you were in Dead Poets Society?
Tell me what that was like.
I only ironically hate you because we share the same name and it is my desire to defeat you in single combat.
Tell me about Robin Williams.
Tell me what it was like to meet Robin Williams.
And work with him and kind of smell him. Did he smell good? I get the vibe that he smelled good.
Robin Williams would have been a great Aslan.
Oh, which is a really great segue into my thought. Who do you, if you were to cast the modern day Aslan for the next generation for the Netflix adaptation of Narnia, who would you cast as Aslan? Because I'm looking at British actors and I'm like, I think Idris Elba would be fantastic.
Oh,
he would. I think Idris Elba is a perfect choice because he doesn't have the kind of. I think he would nail it, but I wouldn't say he has the kind of voice recognition that somebody like Liam Neeson does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do. He definitely does.
I don't think he does. I don't think that you would. Because like, the whole time I'm watching this, right, and even as a kid, I was like, I didn't necessarily know that was Liam Neeson, right? But I was like, that's Qui-Gon Jinn talking. And the whole time today, I was like, that's just Liam Neeson talking. And it's something to do with the fact that Aslan doesn't like talk. He just like Mewtwo like vocalizes. Like it's all like telepathic.
I thought his mouth moved.
Yeah.
Not the way that the beavers do. He says stuff while he roars at the same time. That's not really how talking works.
That's true.
Well,
There's something off about it.
I mean, you can growl while you sing, so.
She makes excellent points, Ethan.
It's fair. I don't know. It was just Liam Neeson. It was just Liam Neeson, right? Idris Elba, I think, would be a great choice. But I don't think you have to have star power voicing Aslan.
I like the idea. This is what's been going around in my brain. He's not British, so I don't know if it'll work. Does Aslan have to be British? Jesus was from Nazareth and Bethlehem, so I think we're fine, right? Anyway, I want Adam Driver to voice Aslan. Courage, dear heart.
Just put a bunch of Adam Driver's dialogue over Aslan talking.
Would be incredible.
You're nothing, but not to me.
God.
Which is also.
I just had sex, and now I'm gonna eat nachos.
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead. Which
More.
Tyler, have you watched Marriage Story yet?
No, I'm very scared of Marriage Story.
Why?
It stresses me.
I'll watch
I don't
it
know,
with
man.
you.
Oh man, I don't know. Because it's about it's like a divorce story, right? It's about people breaking up. That scares me. I don't want to break up.
You're not gonna break up. And also, watching Marriage Story isn't gonna be the thing that undoes your happy marriage. Right? Like, if you can't watch a movie together, if you can't watch a sad movie together, maybe you should get divorced.
Well, I'm certain we could watch it. But,
it's just such phenomenal Adam Driver acting. It is a beautiful thing to watch that man be in that movie.
He's such a good actor, dude. He's so good.
It's got Laura Dern in it, Tyler.
Wow, that's a good enough reason for me to watch it. I'll watch anything Laura Dern is in. We're going to start an extraordinary league of gentlemen who love Laura Dern and an extraordinary league of gentlemen who hate Ethan Hawke, James McAvoy, and Liam Neeson. And
I don't hate Liam Neeson.
I get to... No, I get it. Qui-Gon, you're like Qui-Gon Jinn deserved to die. So did Aslan. So did the guy from Taken. Did he die?
No.
I don't think he died.
They made a bunch of them. I don't know, man. Liam Neeson's just he's like one of the most famous actors without sort of really earning it.
It wasn't Qui-Gon. Like, he was already, I feel like, I don't know. People love the Taken movies. This whole narrative that people don't like Taken is new to me.
People like Taken. They don't love Liam Neeson in Taken.
He was Schindler. That's what people.
Yeah, sure. He was good in that.
Yeah.
Instead of Qui-Gon Jinn, he was Lion Jinn.
Hey, everybody. Ethan here from the editing bay. Just wanted to pop in here real quick and let you know that we had some issues with Danny's audio file, and we lost about, 45 minutes of it. So something like that, somewhere in the middle of that. So anyway, you're going to pick it back up in the middle of a conversation, and for that we apologize. But we got an episode out for you. It's ready to go, and you just missed some gold, man. You just did. It just sucks, but onward and ever upward, right? Okay, back to the episode.
And that is why, if you were on Bleep Blop 6, you would think that somebody on the International Space Station is on Earth.
Okay, but if my mom's on the moon and your mom's on the International Space Station, where does that stop? Like, is the moon part of Earth? For Ickbox 6, is the moon part of Earth?
I think it is. So,
anyway,
Danny,
let's get back
I want to Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe. Danny, you were totally allowed to like this movie for whatever reason you do. Like, I think it's a fantastic film, and I think it's awesome. But you have it tattooed on your body. Mm-hmm. It's very cool. Your tattoo is, one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Incredible.
It's extremely cool. Is there a deeper to you meaning other than, you saw this movie and you really like it? Like, walk me through where the love for Narnia comes from, or stems from, or what it means to you today.
And there's totally valid if there's not. You don't have to answer Tyler, who doesn't have tattoos.
Yeah, there is a much deeper meaning. Because I remember back when I saw it, it immediately inspired me to write my own stories. And so I think from between 2006 to 2009, 2010-ish, I wrote a trilogy and two other unrelated stories inspired by Narnia, influenced by Narnia. Some really heavily influenced, and some just some bits and pieces influenced here and there. But it unlocked this part of me that just I didn't know was even there. And I really love C.S. Lewis's writing because it's very simple, but it's also very elegant at the same time. Mm-hmm. Really easy to read, but he also makes it really easy for you to visualize things. Mm-hmm. It just flourished my entire love for fantasy and also my love for making movies, which is why when I make my trailers, my fantasy trailers and my Disney trailers, Narnia is the template for that trailer. Say it was, I think it was at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Wow, time is so weird. Kind of like how Narnia in Narnia time is so weird. You're gone for a year, and there's 1,300 years past in Narnia. That's what I feel like this. That's what I feel like 2020 has been. 2020 has literally been 1,300 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it feels like. It's also still March, right? Like we just hit it, you know?
I know, right? Like, yeah, I mean, tomorrow is March 56th, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here.
But yeah, at the beginning of the year, I edited It Chapter 2 in 7 different genres, and I did a Disney genre, and I believe that I used some of the Narnia music in that. Same with when I edited Coraline a few years ago. Like, my direct influence was Narnia. I mean, Narnia is literally my religion. I mean, Narnia is, people don't talk about this movie enough. I feel like it's very, very underrated. And I mean, like, it's such a beautiful film. It also has like this whole feeling of nostalgia to me. And it's just so much fun. And
it is so fun.
It is so much fun. And I'm so glad that John and I watched it yesterday, and he saw it for the first time. And when I thought that he was going to like just be like, I thought it was okay, because he does that with a lot of movies that I like, a lot of Disney movies. But no, he came out of the movie, he's like, this is how it's really cool. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna marry you harder and faster now.
That is awesome.
That's so cool.
But yeah, I mean, like this movie, I could literally talk an entire world about this movie. I could literally talk an entire Narnia about Narnia. If that makes
I love
sense.
that. I think that's fantastic. I wish I wish it was easier for people to love things the way that you love this. So that's super, super awesome. And it's been such a joy getting to experience how much you love this and getting to really just like watch you gush about this for the past hour and a half or so, or however long we've been recording. Who knows at this point? I think we started in March.
Yeah, March 491st.
Yeah. So that is awesome.
It's super duper cool. I definitely think.
Go ahead, Ethan.
No, yeah. I just like, it's such an interesting movie because like it is. I don't want to say it's low stakes, but like it's so easy to get into especially for high fantasy, for like traditional high fantasy, for magic and wardrobes and all that garbage that all the high fantasy books have. This is just so simple and so easy and so fun compared to most of it that it's like I can definitely see it being anybody's favorite movie. There's nothing like, it's just one of those rare instances where there's nothing wrong with it at all. Like I could sit here all day and not be like, well, you know, as much as I complain about the Wolves being from New Jersey, like that doesn't take it away from me. It doesn't ruin it for me. It doesn't do anything like that. It's just like, it's just it's a good time. It's as much as you want it to be. You know, you can interface with it on so many levels. It can be the greatest thing you've ever seen. It can be just something cool that you're like, yeah, man, that was really awesome. It is news to me that it is a Disney movie. I learned that today. I was today years old when I learned this was a Disney movie. So, you know, I'm glad you love it the way you love it. I'm glad your fiance loves it.
What was the name of your Narnia world?
Oh boy. It was a play on the Garden of Eden. It was actually Edina.
Love that.
Nice.
It was a combination of Narnia and the Golden Compass. Where it was a parallel world, and people had part of themselves in animal form, and instead of the Golden Compass, it was actually a mirror that you could look into and you could see the parallel universe, and you could also see like the future. The trilogy, it was like so much action in there. I remember the first book was called Dawn of the Darkest Day.
Ooh, good.
Good book name. Yeah.
Whenever I write stuff, I write it as if it's a movie. So I see everything and I write it as if I'm writing a screenplay. The first book that I wrote was called The Animal Whisperer. And so that was also like Narnia and Golden Compass combined. I mean, it was the one about Edina. It was Secrets Within Edina. I'm probably gonna, because I've been wanting to rework that, rewrite it, and like change up some things and like try to get it published. So I'm like, I don't know if I can be an author. I'm more of an editor. I'm more video. Because it'll be ironic for me to write stuff but not read.
I mean, hey, whatever gets the job done.
You know, yeah, I think they're two different actions. I do. I really think that they're wholly different skills because plenty of people can read books and can't write books, you know, so they've got to be different. If all it takes is knowing how to read, then I don't know. It's got to be. I would read your books. I like books.
I mean, for sure, I definitely consume things different as a person who creates things than someone who maybe doesn't and just consumes things. You know, like I definitely think about things differently. I think at least to my knowledge, based on the way things, I have a harder time of just being a flat out fan of stuff than some people do. For sure. So I think that there's nothing saying that you can't write just because you're not a huge reader. There's also something not saying that there's nothing saying you can't write. Hey, if you want to write, do whatever. Especially if you're already a competent editor of things, that's sometimes even more valuable than being a writer of things. Plenty of writers, especially in the like, you know, capital F fiction sort of realm, are referred to as just being nothing without their editors. So who knows? Maybe your stories are nothing without. Well, obviously your stories are nothing without you. Is but the dumbest thing I ever said. Whatever. Brain no work.
Brain no work today.
Brain pump no work.
So let's wrap the show real quick. I want to run down where we land on the big board. I'm just gonna breeze through it though because I don't want Danny to hear what I have to say. The Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe lands a 9th on our big board with a 78.15, which rounds to a 78 on the Bacon and Eggs score. The listener score.
Yeah, listener score was a 72. We did have a fair few hundreds in there though. I will say that.
Yeah. That does put it second from the bottom, but it does have a pretty good score against the bottom movie. And the bottom movie I really liked. So
we've also only done 10 movies. So
we've also only done 10 movies. There's still plenty of time for us to review. Although I know next week we're reviewing like a universally beloved film. So
yeah, if the audience score drives It's a Wonderful Life that far down the board, then I'm going to have some questions, a couple of suggestions on maybe you should be fleeing west.
Yeah, I'll be surprised. But so that is that. Danny, where can people find you on the internet?
So people can find me on my YouTube channel, which is Editing is Everything. I upload every Saturday, every other Saturday, really whenever I want to post content that I have to pay the bills with.
Mood. Right. Big old mood.
But I edit trailers on there. I'll take your favorite movie, your least favorite movie, and I'll transform it into something brand new. Like something that'll be coming up this Saturday is 50 Shades of Grey in 7 different genres, which is which would be quite something to see. You also find me on TikTok at ThatDamnDanny. I post a lot of my photography on there, a lot of my behind the scenes of photography. And I also just post like just whatever comes to my mind. I also post a lot of nail videos. My nails are very
Your nails look fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. My nails are
very pretty nails.
Christmassy today. Red and green going on, very sparkly from Hollow Taco. Hollow Taco, Olive and June, and Jolie Vegan are the brands that I used. And you also follow me on Instagram at that's my TikTok, at The Editorial Style. That's where I post all my photography. I do mainly portraits, but I range from children and family all the way up to really weird avant-garde glitter stuff. So my photography is basically fantasy, and this movie is a fantasy, and that all comes full circle.
Well, there we go.
You should follow Danny on every platform.
Yeah, you should. Danny pumps out content like you wouldn't believe.
Seriously.
There's always
it's my
more
entire
Danny
For You
content.
page. 4 videos at a time, for sure. Usually people being covered in some sort of substance, and then having a picture taken of them.
And I will soon give my fiance a glitter beard, a Christmas glitter beard.
Let's go.
Very, very soon.
Gosh.
You should see that coming up soon. I gotta convince him. Hopefully he doesn't inhale any glitter, and hopefully it comes off pretty easily.
I will say,
neither of the above. Inhale all the glitter. You can't poop glitter if you don't inhale glitter.
I think most people would prefer it that way. You know, a thing you should strive for in your daily life. I will say your recent Baby Yoda video got me good. That was a good one. I did indeed laugh at that one quite heartily.
I really want to do my little dancey dance with Baby Yoda.
I love dance. The problem is that song is the most profane song that has ever existed.
I know,
right before Da Baby says, I do my little dancey dance, he says a lot of things
Yeah.
that I don't necessarily vibe with and cannot say as a white person.
Yeah.
And that sort of takes the fun of that sound out of it for me a little bit, just personally. Now I am a fan of DaBaby, or I tweeted yesterday that I also do my little dancey dance, which is true. Those videos are hilarious though, but I'm glad you and the child are enjoying TikTok together. It's always heartening to see people spending some quality time with the child.
Yes, she'll be my only
And for those of you who are
child.
not on the Zoom call with us, which is everybody listening, Danny is wearing a lose over getting chicken nuggies crew neck with the child.
It's
on it.
awesome. It's so cool.
He's the cutest, as always.
He has a name, okay?
Yeah, but I'm not spoiling that on our non-Star Wars show, okay?
I know. I'm excited for
Also,
our podcast.
he'll always be
within
the child
podcast.
to me. I don't give a fuck.
Wow. Okay. Ethan, you ready to do the sign-off stuff?
Yeah, dude. This has been Bacon and Eggs. Our show is
Proud member
graphic.
of
by-
WB. Wait a minute, no, I gotta say the thing. Oh, holy crap. Okay, so talking about TikTok. One of the shows on our network, Sincerely Us, recently did an episode of their podcast all about the Ratatousical, and it was so cool. They take it from the beginning, and they're like, "This is how we conceived the Ratatousical," and there was this song like, "Remy the Ratatouille," and now it's not even part of Ratatousical. There's its own like canon Tusical, and that song has been booted from it. But they go through and they explain all the creators who are part of it, and then they run down in the second half of the show the whole thing, act 1, act 2, and they play all the songs, they highlight the creators, and they talk about what they mean, and it's extremely cool episode of a podcast. If you aren't listening to Sincerely Us, stop what you're doing, forget this podcast, go listen to Sincerely Us. There's a preview for their whole show right here.
Yeah. Anyway, our graphics are by Visha and Brandon, graphite.vmb on Instagram. Our music is by Andrew Scott Bell, andrewscottbellmusic.com. I've been Ethan Edgehill, she's been Danny, he's been Tyler, and until next time, arrivederci.
Aslan.
For Narnia and for Aslan.